So this is the first root area that we address. Root area 1, developing a humble attitude, which means overcoming pride. And these are based off of the Beatitudes. That's why we're going through these root areas. So one of the root problems of the world in reference to pride is that man's basic nature, sin nature, is in rebellion against God. His natural inclination is to rule over his own life, heap up treasure for himself, glory in his own strength and ability, and trust in his own wisdom. Left to himself, he is foolish, self-centered, and proud. This is the basic root of all man's problems. And this is something that it's kind of like the man who wrote this curriculum says in each one of these root areas, this is the basic root of all man's problems. That's said in all of the root areas. This is the basic root. These are the basic roots. So not just pride, but the other ones as well. Okay, so ways that we see pride in our lives as an independent spirit, and take all these with a grain of salt, because I'm not saying independence overall is bad, but an independent spirit. And does anyone have any examples of like what that is? Whoa. What in the world?
Jesus.
That happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay. Okay, good to know. All right.
That's so much for the video.
I would say placing your own opinions over God's, and not God's opinions, but over God's direction of
yeah.
wrong or guidance for you.
Independent spirit can also be not allowing anyone to help you because you think you can do it on your own, not even allowing God to help you, or have an influence in your life. Basically, independent spirit, is that what, it's like an antichrist spirit, an independent spirit, and a spirit of isolation. And it's kind of like, I'm not saying isolation, like that's what I'm saying. Independence and isolation are not bad occasionally. Like when you're like, you need to be independent on something and work to get this done because that's your responsibility. I'm not saying that's bad. Or I just need to be secluded for a little bit for whatever reason. That's not bad. But isolation is what the enemy ultimately wants to do, is get you by yourself. That's opposite of the church. The church is what was created to form community, to form that bond, the body of Christ, Independent spirit is saying, I'm the hand and I don't need the arm, That's kind of what that is. So it's kind of, and Banning talks about that in the chapter that we read. He mentions, he was doing some Bible study and some lady was like, well, I'm an introvert, and so I don't really want to be a part of the church or something like. Do you remember that example in there? I think it's in we're going over 5 and 6 today, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's in chapter 6, actually. And he's like, that's fine to an extent, but I'm just telling you what the scriptures say. And the scriptures are not trying to change who, they are trying to change who you are. They're not trying to destroy your personality as an introvert, but there are truths that you have to also follow. You can't just be a church in and of yourself or be an island in and of yourself. That's not scriptural. So that's where independent spirit kind of comes in. I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone else. And that's exactly what the enemy wants you to think. And that's whenever he can get you alone. And then, man, whenever you isolate yourself in those instances, I have a friend who, and some of you know him, Evan Bradshaw. It was whenever he got alone, it was by himself a lot, living alone and not coming around any of us anymore, that he was able to feed himself all these lies about how we felt about him and how the church felt about him. He started making up all this stuff in his own mind, believing all these lies about us. And it put a huge wedge between us every day that we didn't see him, or every day that he was thinking those things and pushing us away. Until finally he's like, I'm leaving, and these are the reasons why. And the reasons he gave were just like, what? none of that is true. No one feels that way about you. You know, and it was just, it was like the enemy just got him alone for long enough and just fed him all these lies, and he believed them all.
Now, do you think that it really had to do with what he was doing in his life that was taking him away?
Part of it was that, and then part of it was just, I think it all started, it's a slow fade. I think he started believing one lie and it was offenses, basically. He got offended at one little thing, and then it grew and grew, and yes. And it turned into now, like, he was in my wedding, and now we have no relationship with him at all. Because, and I say it comes from that Antichrist independent spirit, part of it. And his, like, offenses toward the church and everything like that. I mean, everyone loved him. That's why when he said all that stuff, it was like, what? Like, we like welcomed you into our youth leader team and everything, you know. I mean, we made a big deal about it. He was the first youth leader that we actually put in front of the church, and we were like, we really feel like it's God that he joined, and made it a public thing even, and not even all the other youth pastors did we do that with. So, I mean, it was just very interesting. And it was a lot of pride, which is what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, a lot of pride came out in it too. I deserved this, I deserved that. I should have been the best man in the weddings. I'm your true best friend, stuff like that. And it was just like that doesn't even matter, you know, but a root of pride.
Yeah, I think you need to restart the projector. It's not.
Oh. Okay. How weird. Oh, right. It was from the